I can tell you that even from some time past, you can see that people are reducing the family size to one man, one woman, two children,
Definitely.
or maximum of three. The economy is telling you what to do. And the people who don't have opportunity or who are not looking at controlling that, they are in the lower end of the pyramid. And that is where you have the highest population. They earn the lowest. And, with that, what will they use to buy the house you're talking about? Some people may not earn more than 2 million naira or even 1 million naira in a year.
Yeah.
Because of the work they do or where, someone earning minimum wage
70,000
naira from what time? Last year.
Yes.
I don't think it has been fully implemented.
Let's even assume it's fully implemented, sir.
So how will you buy
So that's in a year, that's about
3-bedroom
1.4
apartment to house your 6 children with your wife, you and your wife, or maybe you and 2 wives in some cases?
Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Welcome to another episode of Shelter and Realty Podcast. I still remain myself, Okiniyi Oladayofemi, the managing partner Shelter and Realty. Nigerian real estate sector play a vital role in the country economy. In 2024, it ranks as the 5th largest contributor to the national GDP, highlighting its significant impact and its role in generating employment opportunities, according to the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics. Despite this growth, the sector faces substantial housing deficits, presenting both a challenge and a potential opportunity for developers and investors alike. Today, we'll be looking at a topic which says shaping the future of real estate in Nigeria, navigating opportunities, overcoming challenges, and embracing emerging trends. On the show today, I have here a renowned estate surveyor and valuer. He has been in the industry for a very long time, and he is also a former branch chairman of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuer. He's also a fellow of the institution and also the senior partner, Bangbola Consulting. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me here.
You're welcome, sir. So let's start with this. Looking at the current state of the Nigerian economy and Nigerian real estate sector, looking at the housing deficits, looking at the trends, the market trends, and looking at how real estate has actually improved the economy. So what can you say in short that has been the progress so far with this trend we have currently in Nigeria today?
Well, I'll say that real estate has come a long way in the impact on the Nigerian economy because sometimes in the 70s, the 80s, you don't have the level of private sector developers that you have now. Maybe anybody building a property then is building it for him or herself to stay in that property. And the major players in the industry was basically the public sector government. And that was why in those times, and even before then, you add the Nigeria housing, social housing finance or development body company then, which later metamorphosed to become Federal Mortgage Finance Limited. Then you have the Federal Mortgage Bank. You have the FHA that developed Festac, they're the ones in charge of Festac now. You have the Lagos Executive Development Board that handled Surulere, Ilupeju. Later on, you now add them metamorphosing to LSDPC.
Oh.
That was LBIC bankroll, the Jakonde era of development in the 80s when you add development scattered around various suburbs for low-cost housing, which a lot of civil servants benefited from. You also had the competition. It was a federal competition in Lagos then that you had the Shagari estates also coming up. I mean, that that design for Shagari Estate was basically bungalows, and you could actually improve it further by converting your one bedroom bungalow with the space there. You had the permission to improve it to a 3 bedroom. And I mean, that was what was obtainable 70s, 80s, till early 90s. And thereafter, gradually, when you now add the site and services scheme, like Lekki Phase 1, Magodo, Isheri, Magodo, Shangisha, they were coming up. Lekki Phase 2.
Yeah.
So as those ones were coming up, you now add that opportunity for people to buy plots of land, get titled land, and they can now develop. They got allocations and they could now develop on their own. And some people saw the opportunity gradually. So by the 2000s, the developers started showing up gradually. You have the Crown Estates as far back as
That's the one in Shogotedo.
then the Shogotedo.
Yeah.
So those things were coming up. And Oniru converted his community to become an estate. People could buy some plots of land and subdivide and then develop massively, develop and lease, develop and sell. Those things were coming up. And so the real estate sector has come a long way. And today, you hardly can count the number of developers involved in the system. And so also the number of practitioners involved in the system. With so much need in the sector, so much housing need, the deficit we have garnered over time, because our population keeps growing. 2.1% every year since the last population census. So, and that has contributed to the demand, but the supply has not been able to catch up. So that's why you have that deficit.
But why do you think the supply has not been able to catch up?
Well,
because looking at the rate at which we have developers in the industry today, and looking at let's use Lagos as a case study, most especially the island. Most of all the estates you have today are privately built by developers, but we have a lot of people buying into these houses. Even places that are bush, that are waters in the early 2000s and 2005, they have turned them to beautiful houses,
the Maracos.
Estates. So, but why do we still have this long chain of housing deficits?
Well, there are a number of factors. From my point of view, there are a number of factors, and generally you can also observe it. Number one thing is that the developers you have, who are they building for?
For the masses.
Well, I can tell you that it's otherwise. How many people how many property development companies are focused on low-cost housing? How many people really build in the suburb? If you're talking of low-cost housing today, let's say the Federal Mortgage Bank, you can get loan for up till 2010, maybe a little beyond that. You can't get loan for more than 5 million naira. That cannot even buy you a plot of land. Let's start with that. So, how many people could at that time afford 5 million naira to even buy the land? So by the time you're looking at it, you know that who are the developers building for? There are people building for people who have cash, because the mortgage system is practically zero. So they are looking at people who can give them cash to recoup their money, and they can reinvest, because it's a business now. It's not for social welfare or whatever it is, which was what the government was doing there, especially during the Jakonde and the Shagari era in the 80s. Now people are made it into a business. That's what the developers do. So you have a situation where the developer wants to make his money, and therefore is going to develop for people who can pay the money. You also have the issue of the cost of land that is building into that money, plus the cost of construction. Remember, government is not doing JV with anybody, even though they have they are the largest landowners due to the advent of this 1978 land use decree, which is now the Land Use Act, and they acquired a lot of land. Rather, they will do excision, and some of these developers even go into the extent of supporting the families that can get excision. When they get excision, they do site and service scheme. Their money is built into it. They have to recoup. So if you look at it, the average family that can actually afford some of these properties, they are in the upper middle class to the upper class, right?
Okay.
And so that defines your income capacity. So it's either you're in business or at least in any organization, private organization, you are either banking mostly, oil and gas, finance, insurance, and all those other stuff. You must be earning pretty well, meaning that for you to even access the loan that can buy those properties, you're already an assistant manager thereabouts.
Yes, I'm sorry I want to find out. Are you saying with the level of development we have today in Lagos, because we have a lot of developments by these developers, we have mini estates everywhere. Are you saying it's only those people that are well-to-do that are buying this property?
Well, all you need to do is look at what is the price of the houses. What are the prices that you are seeing
But
out
just
there?
of recent, that's when we have increase in prices of houses.
Even before then, the property that is available now, let's look at in Magodo, Magodo phase 2. Now you have, as at this time, May or June 2025, a terrace house or a detached house, let's say a semi-detached house, is going, or a detached house, 5-bedroom detached house is going for 400, 450, 600.
In Magodo?
Yes, depending on the finish, depending on the automation, if it's a smart home and all those things. And talking of that now, that is not something that comes cheap. How many civil servants, how many people working in banks, in oil and gas company can afford that to pay in a year? Because that's even more like some people don't earn more than, no matter how you earn, they may not even earn more than 20 million in a year. So how do you get that? Okay, maybe that's not the one for him. Let's say 150 million for a 3-bedroom apartment. So how many people with 20 million per annum? And if you are earning 20 million per annum in Nigeria, you are
a big man.
a big man.
Because minimum wage is about 70,000.
So what will, and the people who actually have the higher population is a pyramid. When you compare population with earning capacity, is mostly a pyramid. I'm not talking of people who are well-to-do, who can now actually have a large family. But most people who are in the corporate world, most young minds, they are looking at having a smaller family. The nuclear family is being popularized more and more by the day. Before, during the Babangida era, when in the 1993 thereabout, before then, it was talking of population growth, 1 man, 1 wife, 4 children, right?
Yeah.
In fact, up till now, that's what the provision is when you are looking at a few other things, even health insurance or health coverage in various systems in Nigeria. But today, I can tell you that even from some time past, you can see that people are reducing the family size to 1 man, 1 woman, 2 children, or maximum of 3. The economy is telling you what to do. And the people who don't have opportunity or who are not looking at controlling that, they are in the lower end of the pyramid. And that is where you have the highest population. They earn the lowest. And, with that, what will they use to buy the house you're talking about? Some people may not earn more than 2 million naira or even 1 million naira in a year. Yeah. Because of the work they do or where, it's only earning minimum wage 70,000 naira from what time? last year.
Yes.
I don't think it has been fully implemented.
Let's even assume it's fully implemented, sir.
So how will you buy
So that's in a year. That's about
3-bedroom
1.4 million.
apartment to house your 6 children with your wife, you and your wife, or maybe you and 2 wives in some cases? So that's basically the challenge. What is the disposable income for you to actually go into housing? So, and the people who are building are not building in the suburbs. Most of these developers you're talking about, where are they developing? In Lagos,
Yes.
Banana Island, Ikoyi, Lekki Phase 1, Victoria Island, Oniru, Shangotedo is still far away. Ikate, if you want to do GRA, Chevron, GRA in mainland, Yaba, Ikeja, and there's even a lot of urban regeneration happening in Yaba. And Surulere, people buy and refurbish, remodel, or bring down and redevelop.
Old structures.
And when you are doing all of that, what's the cost you are bringing to it? Because the cost of development, apart from cost of land, is built on a lot of foreign imports of finishing materials. So those are the key issues challenging people actually buying those properties. You can say they can lease, but even now, like someone said recently, he said that these days you may have to take a loan to rent a house. Because you're already talking of millions when you are leasing a property. And so that's where the challenge is. Disposable income, larger community, developers are not developing for people to get welfare package, because government has not structured anything for welfare package. You can talk to any government official these days, especially in the Southwest here. You'll be surprised if anybody tells you that they are planning anything, even if they are planning for social housing, but they won't want to discuss that. They will talk to you about affordable housing. And when you are talking about affordability, you're talking about this is the cost. People should be able to afford it. But that was not the model of Jakonde.
Okay, sir.
His model was bring it to the barest minimum. Civil servant take loan. ABIC is there. You can get to pay it over 15, 20 years. That was it.
So can we say the contribution that this real estate sector that are contributed to the national GDP is fueled by the high income earners? And what can you say would be the benefit for the low income earners and the medium income earners? Or let me put it this way, what is the opportunity that is available for Nigerians? Because if you are talking about low income earners and medium income earners, these are people that has a highest number in the population, Nigerian population today.
Exactly.
So let's generalize it now. What are the opportunities available considering all these factors we have in real estate for Nigeria?
So apart from figures that we can throw around in terms of percentages of contribution to GDP, which is fueled by development at the high end level, what can be done is for government to find a way to partner with developers to develop for medium income and low income. If government cannot do it alone on its own, it's not that government has not tried, but government is also trying to balance its books. They don't want to put 10 naira in a particular project and then have 5 naira out of it. They want to be able to at least get the 10 naira. So, as far back the 80s, Lagos land has been declared all as urban. So, it now depends on what government is looking at. Can government, just thinking of it, do a JV with people who want to do low income housing and participate in that process and ensure that if I or you or anybody wants to develop mass housing for low income, we just bring in our money, it's guaranteed, and we know how to get our money back. Are there foreign grant agencies that we can partner with and the land is available in Lagos? Good enough, the family homes projects has gained traction in the middle belt in Nigeria, in the middle let's say North Central,
Central.
and some part of the North. Why? They can easily allow you to have land, and they develop bungalows and all of that. And it's a lot cheaper, and it's not as high quality, let's say basic housing. That's what you need for low income. That's what you need for some medium income, maybe a little bit upgraded. But that is not happening really in the southern part of this country, because it's a cash and carry system. And the government is not really looking at bringing that up to ensure that the masses, because the southern part has a lot of, especially Lagos, has a lot of population. We're not looking at doing that to ensure that we can provide housing for this place. Then there's also the issue of infrastructure. People want to gravitate to Lagos because they believe there's infrastructure, there's business opportunities in Lagos. Why is Lagos not doing things that will give opportunity for people in those suburbs to quickly access their business places in the city center? Right? Why are other states not also taking advantage of that? I can tell you that the whole of development beyond Berger at the toll gate in Lagos towards Ogun State was driven majorly because of private sector, or let me say institutional stroke religious activities.
Yeah.
Because you have virtually all the churches started by the Redemption City at that area. So gradually people saw there was no need staying so far away. And that place is a city now.
Yeah. Does that place even create opportunities, employment opportunity for a lot of people?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only thing government did is to have or maintain, if they are finishing maintenance now, the road Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Aside that, every other thing is private sector.
Yeah.
On both sides of that road. So, and it was cheaper there, but you have to understand, as development comes up, prices will rise.
Yeah.
Prices will increase. So, you still have a whole lot that you can do along that road. Government has a lot of places there that they have acquired or revoked one interest or the other. Ogun State government this time around, and they can do a lot with it. What is happening? So that is where you have to, those are the places that can take care of low income, high income. And imagine from that place, the rail is moving daily. Some people, even now, still, some people work in Ibadan, live in Ibadan and work in Lagos.
Yeah.
So how effective is the rail? Can we make it more timelessly? Can we make it more effective? Can we make it a little faster? Because I understand that it's a little bit slow, so there is 1 hour. That rail can actually be modernized to something that can be a 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 40 minutes. And you can then see how to achieve that. But the rail does not pass through that place, not that channel. It passes through on that channel. Yeah. So if there's a rail along that expressway and people can always alight at their various junctions, you see that development will move faster in that area. Yeah. Just alight and walk into your estate, alight and walk into your estate. I don't have to go and buy a house or live in Lekki to come and work in Lekki phase 1 if there's rail from Ekpe to VI. Yeah. Okay. It's good that government is doing something. The plan for the coastal road includes rail. That has to, in fact, is long overdue for us as a city in Lagos.
Okay, sir. So let me also digress a little bit. Looking at the social media space, a lot of things has been going on recently. People talking about developments in Lagos. And based on what you just said now, because looking at it critically, government concentration on real estate is very low. They have actually leave everything for the developers to do. Don't you think this is one of the contributory factor to fraud that we have in real estate sector today?
Well, I think government has tried to mitigate against fraudulent activities. The question is effectiveness and whether they're doing it the right way. There are various levels of fraud. There's fraud in purchases and leases. There's also fraud in construction and development.
Yeah.
But government does not have enough manpower to actually do monitoring and enforcement. Those are the issues. Then there are some areas, especially when you're talking of the advent of LASRERA, which is Lagos State Government Agency on Real Estate Transaction. Yeah, they've done some job when it's reported to them. But I can tell you for every one that is reported to them, there may be 10 that is not reported to them. They're doing a lot of publicity. But they are sometimes in the past, I don't know if they are still doing that the focus has been even on the professionals who are already certified nationally to work in the real estate sector, rather than focus on the people who are not nationally certified, who don't have professional body, who you can't report to anywhere.
Yeah, they're not regulated.
Those are the ones that are not regulated. Those are the ones you have to face. Then I think one of the challenges is that government wants every agency to be an income generating agency. I think there are some special purpose vehicles you can create which are not for income generation.
Okay.
Just to correct or address the system. It's not everything that should be income generation. Ministry of Women Affairs should not be income generation.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree.
So when you want to clean up a system, you feel that there's fraud here and there, it may not require income generation. If as a practitioner, or let me say a roadside agent, or I call myself a realtor and I'm not documented anywhere, like as an estate surveyor and valuer, as an architect, as a QS, I'm documented because I have a national professional regulator. Those are not the people you regulate again.
Yes.
It's the people who are not documented, who are not regulated, who just use their name to collect one check or the other and they move on.
Yeah.
They don't even have an office. Portfolio property agents. So if you want to handle them, if you ask them to come and pay 100,000 naira for registration, you can be sure they won't pay it and they're not going to show up. So you have reduced your capacity to regulate because the people you are looking for, you don't know them and you can't reach them. Number one. Number two is that what's your manpower for any agency government is employing? You want to deal with the people who are probably in their millions now and who are involved in quite a number of things in that industry. Even when it talks to the issue of whether you're dealing with market women and all those other things, you have to create a system whereby you have people you can reach them through. If you can get Iyaloja Association to deal with the market women, I mean, you get Babala to deal with market men. Why can't you use the people who are already established in the industry, who are regulated, who you know have, like they say on some palace, they have a chain that is holding them because they have national regulation. Why don't you engage those people to superintend over what those other people are doing and ensure that they have the responsibility over those ones and everything is routed through them. Yeah. It helps with a lot of monitoring. It's collaboration. That's what it's called. You don't take those people and say, okay, those people should actually help you out, become subservient to that process because they already have their own certification and regulatory processes. So a lot of things play out. I mean, if I'm already paying dues for my national regulation, I'm already paying 100K there, and you say for me to practice in this place, I must be under 100K or 150K or 200K. Come on. I've been doing this without without paying those stuffs
Yeah.
before. And I'll continue to do it.
Definitely.
So those things are mismatched in terms of goal and process.
Mm.
When you have that mismatch, you won't reach your goal. Your process will not be effective. So there is need for government to sit down, look at that, and bring the people that need to be brought on board. Bring them on board. Let them work with you effectively. It's not just going to be photo splash and all those things. Really on board, because we really need to prevent those fraudulent situations in the system. If I extend that to the issue of what leads to building collapse and all those, it's all part of it.
Yes.
In terms of quality of material,
Materials.
you don't have
regulation.
you don't have enough people to even supervise, despite having various
All the
agencies, and you have them in various zones. It's not enough. There's nothing stopping every local government from having a unit of all those people. But can government employ all of them and pay them?
But
Would
don't
they
you
not
think
have
the
other
system
things to
is-
do?
Don't you think the system is also porous in terms of the people that they even engage? Are you sure they are not also corrupt to some extent?
Well, see, corruption at any level or in any space depends on the gaps that are open. If those gaps are covered, you find little to do in terms of corruption. Let's start with the issue of even registering your title. As far back as 1999, 2000, when our current president was governor of Lagos State, he proposed and worked on with some of our colleagues, estate surveyors as well as in the Lands Bureau and some other lawyers. They worked on the issue of a 30 days land title registration if you've paid everything up front. It worked for a few months, and after that 30 days became 40, 45, 3 months. But go and try it today. What is the problem? The process is there, but the issue is the gap is still there. Meanwhile, in another country in Africa, I won't mention the name of the country, in 1 week, you can get a land title.
I even think in the north, one was just advertised or said that in 30 days, they just launch.
There are some that get in the north, in the northern part of the country. There was a time, when I was privileged to chair the Research and Development Committee of the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, the National Committee. We did a survey, a research on the processes of land titling and the costs nationwide. And we merged each region for region. You'll be surprised that quite a number of states in the north could get, and even southeast, you can get your title document sorted out in a month. In a month. And although there were some that was 3-4 years, because in 4 years' time they had not sorted it out for whatever reason, because the governor must sign personally. So referring to the Land Use Act. In Lagos, the benefit is not limited to the governor. To some extent, the Attorney General, the Minister, Commissioner for Housing, the
Secretary.
You have about 4 commissioners who could sign on behalf of the governor, who can sign on behalf of the governor. But even before it gets to them, because you are a lot of people. So why we're a lot of people in Lagos, a lot of applications are coming in. Even though Lagos still carries the highest number of registrations being done, but the process has been slow so far. You have over a year, 2 years now. Because before you take it to survey, and survey will check it and come back and all of that. Meanwhile, in some states like Edo, in Kwara, you have very good GIS system units. Let me not say units, a body bringing up all the offices that are required. So within one block, you can sort out everything. And they try to be timeless about it. But here you find out that the challenge is because it's not following that platform yet, though Lagos State has launched its GIS office. But uploading all those things is an issue. The fact that it still has to require one man or the other to do this and that is a critical challenge. So, can we automate these processes? Can we have everything so that I can apply online for my CTC and I get it now? In the next, within a day, 24 hours, I get a CTC if I apply for it. I just need to submit online. If you want to do some processes now, like even do a title extra, you must see the registrar. Why must I see the registrar once I submit everything? So all those things keep creating gaps that can be exploited by people who want to do otherwise. So if there's no gap, corruption will be reduced. Automation, technology helps to reduce that corruption gap. Once you are removing or reducing the human interface, it does not mean that those people will not do their functions. They will do their functions, but it does not require a one-on-one meeting. Once it's entered in online, all they need to do is click and say, okay, all the documents are submitted. These have been checked. They are okay. You click, moves to the next button. The next person looks at it, signs off. You can get some of these things sorted out in one week. Honestly.
Okay, sir. All right, sir. So, looking at this contribution of the real estate sector to the national GDP, we can say this figure will only come from few states in Nigeria, which is very obvious. Let's say Lagos, Port Harcourt, let's say Abuja, probably Kano in the north, probably. So looking at this, we only have 4 out of about 36 states, and we only have 4 that is contributing to the 5th, that makes the real estate sector to be the 5th highest contributor to the national GDP. Don't you think the reason why we have high value of property, developers building and selling at higher value, is the contribution of all this money? Because I know the calculation of GDP also is the money coming into the system, maybe from title registration, from the purchase of land and all that. Don't you think the money they are charging for all this registration are the one contributing to the highest, to the let me say, the skyrocketing of the property price in this environment?
Well, I'll say for a state like Lagos, you buy your property twice. You first buy from the person who is selling in the secondary market. Then you now buy from government
again,
when you are doing your consent and registration. So that's a major challenge for quite a number of people. So you find out that a lot of people buy properties and they don't even bother to register.
But that's dangerous.
It is dangerous. It is dangerous because if that person sells to another person, and that's what Omonile take advantage of. Remember what I was saying about gaps?
Yeah.
So that's a gap that Omonile will take advantage of, and they'll sell one plot of land to 20 people.
20.
But like he said, when two equities are similar, the first in time takes precedence.
Yeah.
So if anybody registers for it, even if it was the last person to go and buy and registers for it, he's the one that bought it too.
Yeah, because he's the one that got mentioned.
Till you go and prove in court that no, I bought my own so time, this one and that one. And that's a long process. You may get to Supreme Court and God help you that you're still alive before you finish proof.
So the usual system too.
So the usual thing, I mean, those delays and all that continue to happen. So I think with a lot of urbanization happening in various state capitals all over the federation, the opportunity is there. Infrastructure development is it creates opportunity for land value to be improved on, for development, for people to come and invest. Now, what I think needs to be done is that every state should look at inwards and say, look, how do we make our states a destination point, either for tourism or for business. Once that is done, I mean, if I want to go to Nasarawa and I know I'm into mining, it will be easy for me to go to Nasarawa. I can say I'm going to Kebbi because I want to deal with agriculture or mining as well. If that enabling environment is created. So, and that will limit governments from various states going cap in hand at the end of every month to go and share in the national treasury or whatever from the windfall from, it's actually hardly enough again these days, regardless of the fact that, the amount in naira has increased. You have to look at how you use that to purchase a dollar because of the exchange rate now. It's crazy. So what are you going to do? You are still buying at the inflation rates. You are buying things at the inflation rate that you have on ground. So we have to be creative and make development come inbound. Some states are doing it. I saw the president went to Nasarawa recently. I mean, I think day before yesterday or so, or yesterday, yes. So, and he was commissioning some projects which were not there before, and those projects will continue to, around that project, you can be sure that a lot of people want to come in, even if you are an indigenous of Nasarawa and you want to buy something in that area and develop your own. So it now depends on that government planning. How do we bring in real estate into this? That should actually be done from the onset. So is there a master plan for the state? Is there a master plan for the state capital? Some states have not reviewed a master plan, or they don't even have a development plan for the past 20, 30, 50, 40 years. Some states were created without a master plan, and they have not done anything about it. I remember I went to speak in Kano at the time. I think that was 2003 or so, yes. And the master plan at that time was something that was over 20 years ago. So, has there been a review? Lagos has been forward-looking. I remember Governor Fashola came up and did 5 model city plans, which brought about the high-rise you have in Ikoyi axis these days and some other locations in Lagos State. So, and that covered a lot of places. Some of those master plans are now due, those model plans are now due for review. I remember I was speaking about Ikeja model city plan, that it was not yet reviewed. I think that was in 2022 when it's lapsed in 2000. I don't know. I can't remember when, but it has lapsed at that time. I was talking about that. You have not even reviewed this. I was at a government interactive session. You have not even reviewed this, and it has lapsed. There are some things in that master plan that you have not even executed. So it's not just drawing the plan. Yes, the plan is there. Can we go ahead and execute it? And when it's about lapsing, can we improve on it? Because newer things are happening, developments, innovations coming up. How can we take advantage of that and improve for the longer term? You know, so that will be integrated into real estate development and infrastructure development. Everything integrated in the master plan. That is a thing every state should do. When you do that, you can definitely show up the improvements in real estate business and infrastructure development, and also real estate construction in your state. And it should not be limited to state capital. Look at other areas where cities or towns where you can do other master plan to improve it further. Because when you do that, other people will see benefits and go there. It's an economic vehicle.
All right, sir. So thank you very much, sir. Let's look at, so far we have looked at the developers relating it with the investors. We also look at the government contribution also to the developers. So I want us to look at the investors and the government now. What are the available opportunities that government has put in place for the investors in the real estate sector? if there is any?
Well, I think when you're talking about investors, it's majorly finance
Yeah,
and
finance
the
and
opportunities that
opportunities for
so
people that wants to buy.
I think that it should not involve so much of government. Although some states like Lagos State have tried to do what you call a rent to own model, which has worked to an extent, but of course, implementation, you can find one gap or the other here. Then you're talking of what is the coverage? How many people can benefit from it? I was talking to a relative of mine, a brother of mine recently in the Netherlands, and he was saying that, look, he's getting 30 years rent to own. I said, congratulations, you have your house. I didn't buy everything like you buy in Nigeria. So
You got that process.
I said, I have to pay over 30 years. But I have a home, I can call my own. Well, but that's good. But that's what we don't have here. We don't have an effective mortgage system. So even the rent to own model, which government at that time, when Governor Fashola started, and which Governor Ambode also tried to follow up, was at 9% interest. Outside there, they're not doing 9%.
Yeah.
And they are doing like 3, 4, 5, depending on where you are. But even 9% is still commendable.
Yeah, it's commendable.
But how many people get a reach of that, get to benefit from that? They had to bring in financial sector. Some banks had to agree to that because Lagos State government is also providing some funding at one end or the other. How much is the value of that house that you're buying? I think it's 15, 20 years they're doing for the rent to own. But how many projects are involved in that as we speak? I've heard of some private sector initiatives to do rent to own. The challenge is that where are they getting funding from? Because we are getting funding from 36, 40% or whatever it is from the commercial or mortgage bank who get their funding from commercial bank. Then will you be able to do the rent to own?
Not even looking at the economy that is not even stable.
Exactly. So the benefit other climes the Western world has is that their pension funds, their what do you call it? Their pension fund goes into all this and insurance. They go into all this mortgage system because that pension insurance has a lot of liquidity that, you don't have to, the insurance don't have to pay insurance sum every year. So they have liquidity they can keep. Similarly, pension is a long-term projection. You start work today for the next 20, 30 years. I mean, you're still paying your pension, saving your pension rather. And at the end of the day, you're expecting it at the upper end when maybe you're retiring and all those things. And they have various models, So the funds for those can go into financing the mortgage system, and they now have secondary mortgage system where you can now auction a mortgage. Not the house per se, but you're auctioning the mortgage. Someone can buy off the mortgage. But in this part of the world, the primary mortgage industry is not even benefiting us. So where do we go to for the secondary? So that's the issue. And there's a school of thought that the primary mortgage is not succeeding because there's no secondary yet. In spite of all the attempts to even boost this primary mortgage through Mortgage Refinance Company of Nigeria and all those things that will reduce interest rates fairly, but the fair one is not really fair if you have to compare to what you are going to get out there.
Okay, sir. So let's look at this and let's round up with this. What are the emerging trends that we need to look out for in this year or coming year as far as real estate is concerned? Because if we continue this way with what we have in the sector, a lot of private individuals going into real estate, building houses, buying mini estates, lands, and calling it estates, so to say. And that has actually posed a lot of challenges. Even people in diaspora now, most of them, they don't want to invest in Nigeria because of their experience so far. in the Nigerian real estate sector. So what are the things to watch out for going forward in years to come as far as the sector is concerned?
Okay, let me quickly talk about those diasporans who you say may not want to invest in it. A lot of diasporans are still investing.
Yeah, I agree.
Some may not want to invest because maybe they have packed up everything here and they have moved. So their mind is not here. But some still want to invest one way or the other. But those who want to invest is either for income generating property. And those are the people that will actually enjoy what I'm going to talk about. Shortlets is actually taking the front stage now. It's moving to a level that almost every corner of Lagos, especially and Abuja, you see people want to do shortlets. Even in other parts of the country, shortlet is really booming now. Then, of course, for you to do shortlets, it started with the smaller apartments.
Yeah.
So rather than have a grandeur house, 5-bedroom detached house, palatial house that at the end of the day, your children will say, Daddy, I'm in UK now. I don't want to come back to Nigeria. I finished my master's. So if you like, you can sell that house. I'm not coming back to take the place. So we have that. Or they just come visit and they are in one room. After 2 weeks, they have left that room and they go and you can't, your room is empty. Empty nest for parents who have big, large buildings. Some of them even had to say, okay, please, can we pull this thing down and convert it to terrace houses? I'll take 1 unit. They do JVs these days. So a number of things I've mentioned there, the shortlet apartment, the smaller apartments, which, I mean, you can lease out and get good returns on for people who are either just coming up, who have the finance to take up those things. You also have the JVs, joint venture development. Those things are taking up a lot now. If you check various listing pages, you find out that people are offering JV here and there for land, for building that can be redeveloped. Most of them, especially for income generating properties, because people are not just looking at property as for ownership alone. It's now an investment. It's now a business. To own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of shops, or in commercial retail, or to own a building that will generate income for you, is more of a retirement benefit now than in those days, in the 80s, 70s, when people would build block of 4 flats and occupy 1 flat as a landlord on top in front. And you now lease out the other ones and be collecting rent. That was it then. But now you don't even have to be there. Just make sure it's enough units for you to generate income. And some people even don't want to own the whole building. They just want to buy 1 apartment here, 1 apartment here, 1 shop there, 1 shop there. And it becomes income stream for them. Investments. So those are the things that are happening. Then you also have the green building initiatives coming up. There are a number of commercial properties like the Heritage Place in Ikoyi and so many other ones that are coming up with green building initiatives, which contributes to value for them. It also makes them rated by either Edge or some other green building rating agencies. And that gives them benefits of better returns. You know, either the components are planned to be green, and whether the energy source, the water source is based on renewable, sustainable energy or processes. So those ones are also coming up. You also have the smart building initiatives. It's not limited to the island. On the mainland, even smaller apartments that you feel that, okay, this is this area, they're not so equipped for using smart technology in their building. You'll be surprised. And that is also adding a premium to those properties when they come into the market for sale. So those things are happening in the real estate sector right now. And for the foreseeable future, they will still be pushing the boundaries in real estate. They will still be pushing the boundary. I mean, for now, you can't say that almost every building, even that it is not developed green, has a component of green. By the time you are using inverters, you have reduced your dependency on this, or inverters with solar panel. You're already getting energy from the sun to power your house. I'm looking forward to a time that you get a whole estate developed with dependence on solar energy or public sector, public means grid energy supply.
We have that already, sir. We have that in Nigeria currently.
Okay.
It's still a mini estate, but at least
mini is mini. So, but doesn't mean it doesn't mean that it's not functional.
Yes.
So
we have that already.
So I mean that can go a large scale. You have a whole city like that. That can happen. Yeah. Especially in the north. I will wonder why it has not been exploited in places from Abuja and up north. Because they have a good, especially in the Sahel, they have a good dose of that. Again, the challenge will be who buys the houses, what's the cost of rollout, is it going to be funded by government, or is it going to be supported by government? For example, in England, there are some places where you find out that, I think most of the places, you find out that the whole people's homes, maybe elders who are living in their own houses, there's provision for solar panel for them. I mean, it's not just limited. Some people also do it for themselves and just provide solar panels to handle the energy supply. So it reduces the pressure on the national grid. And that's what it will do for us. I think, I don't know why I keep referring to Mr. Fashola. So, Mr. Fashola, when he was minister, SAN, when he was minister, also recommended or advocated or pushed for this, Minister of Power then, push for this multiple source of energy to support the national grid and not put that pressure on it. I think if you begin to look at the number of people using solar panels, and you find out that the supportive effect it has had on the national grid has been substantial. I don't know if I've not seen any report to show the effect of that, but I think it's something that we should explore, especially in the Sahel and up north, drawing down here, and gradually you find out that we are doing massive job at developing in green building and all those other things. But for a green building to be truly effective, you have to plan it from the planning stage. It's not just the modifications alone. Modifications can help, but planning stage, very effective.
All right, sir. Thank you very, very much. So in closing, can you just give a bit of advice to the developers, to the investors, and also to the government? Let's see how we can synergize these three together and give a better advice for everybody in Nigeria today. Well,
I think that's actually all we've been doing all the while. Government needs to have a plan, workable plan, and also reduce the gap in its system so that their system can be more effective to supporting housing and development. Not every agency should be an income generating agency, so that they can actually do the work of correcting some issues in the process. That's that. Government needs to do a workable plan. All over the states, there's ample opportunity. The planning is in the hands of the state. So let's leave that to them. They can always partner and collaborate with the private sector, either in finance or the developers, to ensure there's going to be effective rollout of this. So that's one. For the developers, they are there to make their money. If you don't put some guidance to it, they will do everything to make their money. But in all of that, to avoid collapses and all, safety is the first thing. Using the right materials, following the right processes, that will save lives and will save their investment into those projects and save the investment of the investors who are buying into those projects. For investors, I think you just have to watch out for what you're getting. It's not just all about the income. In some cases, you also have to look at what's the sustainability. What are you buying into? Yes, you want to make your money quickly and begin to move on, but you should also look at what you're buying into. Is that project sustainable for you? What are the other factors apart from finance or getting money that you want to consider? If there are social benefits that you can look at, fine, that's good. But the whole process of working around that social benefits should be, not necessarily should be. People can decide individually on their own. But if government also has an input in pushing that envelope, I think we'll be able to have a better society.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for joining us today on this show. It's
My
good to
pleasure.
have you here, sir. Thank you very much.
It's my
So
pleasure
to
to be
our
here.
audience out there, thank you for joining us today on another episode of Shelterness Realty Podcast. I believe you have learned a lot of things from our guest here. And this is an opportunity for you to reach out to us if you have any questions, and we'll be available to answer all your questions. Don't forget, watch, like, and share. Till we meet again, see you next episode.